Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters, brought to us by Konami. The best fighting game in my opinion on the NES, though that's not saying a whole lot since there wasn't a whole lot of this genre coming out for that console. Actually, there's probably more bootleg fighting games than actual official ones for it, but still, this one really ended up standing out. Unfortunately, the game didn't come out until 1994. In fact, after its SNES and Sega Genesis counterparts had already hit the market, so not a whole lot of people actually got a chance to play this one on the NES back in the day, but it's definitely worth checking out. TMNT Tournament Fighters is a pretty typical tournament arcade-style fighting game. You have a couple of different modes, including the story mode, where you can play as one of the 4 turtles, where you battle through each of the characters in the game before taking on Shredder at the end. There is a little bit of a story, as you can see. It's basically though Shredder just challenges the turtles to a fight in the streets of Manhattan, and they accept. The game then showcases all of the characters featured in the title before we get to the main menu, where we can select a few options. When we make it to the main menu, you can see a few options. You have versus the computer or versus another player. It's fun that you can play actually as the same character with the exception of Hothead, but there is a glitch and a way to get around it so that you and your friend can also play as Hothead. For this run of the game, I'm going to be playing on the hard difficulty setting and turbo mode. When it comes to selecting from the 4 main turtles, the only turtle that's not really great to play as is actually my favorite in Raphael, and that's only because Raphael doesn't have the throw. The other 3 turtles do, and all you gotta do is be close to your opponent and press B, and you launch them over you, and this does a ton of damage, and is our main strategic move to do over and over in order to beat this game, especially on that hard difficulty setting. Each one of the characters does have a few moves, but it's not your big repertoire of fancy moves that we see in modern fighting games. It's mostly just 1 or 2 moves. Everyone, though, has an ultimate move, basically a projectile type move, but you have to grab the ball that is dropped from the weird floating splinter machine that goes overhead after a certain amount of time has passed in the match. Very similar to how the Smash Balls are handled in Super Smash Bros. You just have to press down towards an attack in order to pull off those ultra moves when you do grab it. I will try to get it throughout the run, but unfortunately, it's a lot of times not best to go after it because if you're playing on hard difficulty, that CPU will pounce on you any opportunity possible. Raphael isn't too difficult. He goes on the offensive much more than the defensive, doing the flying kick a lot, so block that flying kick and immediately go into the throw. It only takes a few throws to win each matchup, so play defense a lot and you should be able to get enough throws to take him out. Michelangelo is up next. The 2 main moves that Mike will be doing is the flying kick up into the air, which will miss as you're far away, and then he comes crashing down. Just make sure that you're not going to get hit by him as he comes crashing down, and if you time it right, you can go right into a throw. Other times, if you're away from Mike, he'll just run towards you. Meet him just a little bit as he's running towards you, and you can also get right into a throw. Don't give up on your throw. Don't just press that B button once. If the enemy is close to you, mash it real quick sometimes, as even if you don't hit the initial B, that next press of the B button may be enough to initiate that throw. Mike sometimes will get in close with a few punches and the like and ducking, but really for the most part getting away from him and causing him to come to you will be enough so that you can keep launching him and finish him off. Donatello is next, and this is a pretty tough fight. Don just likes to spam attacking, as well as he does this cool kick into the air, another crashing down move similar to Mike. However, when he hits the ground, the slide he does after, you want to make sure that you immediately go into a ducking block. Learning to do the duck block is essential for getting past Donatello a lot of times. If you see Don ducking and spamming his kick, you can jump in yourself with a flying kick to do some extra damage. But like we've been doing, a lot of times playing defense is best. Wait for that flying kick, do the ducking block a few times, just hold it for a few seconds, and then you should have that opportunity to get that throw. Thankfully, Donatello is also prone to just running headfirst into you, similar to what we saw with Michelangelo and the other turtles. So if you're far away, just stay there. Wait for Don to come to you. He'll either run or probably do that flying kick, but either way, you should be able to block it and then stand up and get into that throw. After the first 3 matchups, we then get a bonus game to complete. You're basically just breaking down each one of these walls. Either use forward forward A or forward forward B. Either one will be efficient in just breaking down these walls, and you should have plenty of time left if you just keep spamming these moves over and over, as the walls break down pretty fast. Since we don't end up doing a mirror match against the turtle that we picked, we move on to the next set of characters, as we actually are almost done the game already. Here is Casey Jones. Now, Casey Jones has a few strategies here, staying away from Casey, using uppercuts as he consistently will try to jump into you. You don't want to stay too close to Casey because of this tornado move that he likes to do. If you're away from that tornado when he does it, though, you can get in quickly as he lands and get right into a nice throw. When the round begins, just stand still, wait for Casey to jump towards you. If you back up just a bit every time he does this, you can kind of keep him in a nice loop until you end up at the wall, but you just don't want to get stuck against there. More than likely, he'll end up either doing the tornado or straight up grab you for his little slam move. If that happens though, just back away and try to create that space so you can get back into the uppercut loop, or he'll do that tornado and then you can grab him and do a nice throw. Next up is Hothead. Very easy to throw because pretty slow of a character. A lot of times you can either run towards Hothead and get a throw kind of sequence going, or if you throw him and then jump towards him and time it right, you can get into a quick throw that way as well. He's one of the few characters you're going to be more offensive with than defensive. His slowness really ends up being detrimental to the CPU here. After the first throw here in round 2, you can see you can just kind of do these nice little timed jumps right at him and go right into the throw as soon as you land. And if you do it right, you can get a perfect, just keep throwing him back and forth and drain all his health in just a matter of moments, making one of the last fights we do one of the easiest. It's now time for the main event here, Leonardo versus Shredder. Before we have that battle, we do get a little cutscene before the fight starts. As expected, Shredder is a pretty tough fight, and one of the few ones where we won't be doing as many throws. A good strategy for Shredder is staying away from him, waiting for him to do the ground fire, and when he does that, then doing a jump in with an attack. If he stands still and does like the fast punches, you can then also do the jump in move towards him in order to land that kick or punch. As soon as you land it though, immediately get away from Shredder. If you can get Shredder on the left or right wall, it's a lot easier to just keep homing in with those jump in attacks while dodging his few. For the second round, we're standing still. Shredder will more than likely run towards us, so don't go towards him and go right into a throw, and hopefully go into that whole jump attack pattern. If he counters you and knocks you back, it won't do a whole lot of damage. However, if you land the attack and actually land safely on the ground, go right into the slide if you're playing as Leo, as that can be a really nice follow-up attack and possibly can lead into getting a throw as well. At the end here, I break the pattern because I was trying to pick up the splinter attack in order to finish off Shredder nicely, but unfortunately I couldn't grab it, so I just had to finish him off anyway, and we get to sit back and enjoy the ending, the TMNT Tournament Fighters. So there you have it, TMNT Tournament Fighters. Kind of a weird ending there, Splinter being in that machine, but either way, it's one of those games that I really wish could have come out years prior to when it did, as it could have been a big hit, I think. But once it did come out, no one got a chance to really play it on the NES, and its counterparts on SNES and Sega Genesis, while I have a lot of memories with them, unfortunately just got lost in the shuffle amongst much better fighting games on those consoles. This is the final of the TMNT games, obviously, on the NES. I've now completed all of them for my Play It Through series, so be sure to check out the previous ones if you've never given them a look. I do plan to cover plenty of more TMNT games in the future, so keep an eye out for them. As we reach the end of the credits here, a very slow credit crawl, you gotta say. For an NES game, it's not a whole lot of credits in it, but it's a pretty long credit sequence, and we get the copyright of 1993, but the game did actually come out in 94, and actually only in North America and PAL territories. And with that, guys, it's gonna wrap up this episode of Play It Through. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.